Good afternoon, guys. Today I'm going to be going over verbal communication in law enforcement and the importance of that. So, with law enforcement, we have multiple levels of force, and we have specific criteria to meet for our use of force, to justify our use of force. And with that being said, I always make a point to tell my patrols as a supervisor that verbal communication, your IPC skills, are the most important tool that you have. I say this because with verbal communication in law enforcement, you can escalate or de-escalate any situation by how you talk to somebody, by what you say. I like to personally refer to George Thompson. He is the author of Verbal Judo. Verbal Judo, he goes into a lot of what he likes to call his tactical language. And what I mean by that is saying the right things, becoming who you need to be to handle the situation that you're faced with, to handle the scene that's in front of you. The moment that you break effective communication is when you start struggling. So you need to eliminate all emotions and all biases when you're on the job. You need to look at everything like it's black and white, or else you are going to fail at de-escalating a situation and communicating effectively with whoever it is you're talking to. According to the National Academy of Health and Business, when you're talking to suspects, you want to deal with them and verbally communicate authoritatively and directly. With victims, on the other hand, the tone of verbal communication needs to be compassionate and soft-spoken, but still as clear as you can be. So you need to make them feel comfortable with talking to you. You need to be able to have them open up to you, and so you can get as much information as possible. With the witnesses, on the other hand, or potential witnesses, you're going to resort more towards active listening. And what I mean by that is really letting them tell you what they saw or what they want to say. That way, and also with being an active listener, you need to base how you're going to speak to them when you're going to ask more questions or try to clear things up off of what they told you and how you told you. Another aspect of IPC skills and actually verbal communication is going to be your body language. Your nonverbal communication is actually going to be a big part into your interpersonal communication skills while on the job. How you present yourself is really going to reflect how somebody speaks to you and how somebody communicates with you and how cooperative they are. So as law enforcement, you need to present yourself professionally. You need to have an authoritative stance. And what I mean by that, I don't mean just how you're standing, I mean how you're presenting yourself. If you're looking like you don't know what you're doing, you're not competent in what you're doing, nobody's going to take you seriously. They're going to try to run all over you, especially suspects, especially an aggressive person. You really need to be able to not only be able to have people open up to you and communicate effectively to you and effectively communicate to them, but you need to be confident in what you're doing. You need to really let them know that you're there, that you are a professional. Professionalism is key, because if you don't present yourself in a professional manner, nobody's going to take you seriously. And whether it's a situation that's high stress, high intensity, people fighting and yelling, or it's somebody, you're dealing with mostly victims, and, it's a scene where people are crying and they're going through a lot, and they're very emotional, you need to recognize that and be able to adjust yourself accordingly to that scene, to that specific situation, to where you're going to get the most information out of it, and also be able to de-escalate the situation. That's the key. You need to be able to de-escalate any situation to ensure officer safety as well as safety of the public. Thank you for listening. This concludes my brief.